let me just wrap up this kind of 4 decision piece. And if you would, grab your growth tools. I want to show you now kind of the rationale and structure of these 7 tools. And by the way, let me give you kind of an analogy. Think of these as a crossword puzzle or a Sudoku puzzle, where, look, if you're the type who doesn't want to go to box 2 till box 1 is complete, you're going to get stuck pretty fast in our process. The idea really is to kind of pick around these forms, fill in what you can, and over a period of 2 to 3 years, the picture will kind of come into focus. And by the way, this is a moving target. These things are moving. The answers that are put in these blanks are changing as our marketplaces change and our companies grow. And so that's why we focus on them every 90 days. Now, let me just show you the organization. The front tool, the orange section, is really kind of the people tool. That's where we got to figure out, do we have the right butts in the right seats, as Jim Collins says, in Good to Great, and do we know what their key performance indicators are and what parts of the income statement and balance sheet they have accountability for. This is how you get and make sure that the top part of your organization is structured properly. If you turn to the blue section, this is then the strategy page. This is the one-page plan that we're well known for. And let me give you a warning up front. This 2 days cannot substitute for a good 2-day offsite to figure out what your plan is for 2008. We're going to get you a long way in these next 2 days, but normally you're going to have to spend a little bit more time to kind of refine things and kind of sleep on it and maybe get some support in putting it together. So that's the strategy page. If you turn to the brown section, kind of where the rubber meets the road, where you kind of get down in the dirt, get your hands messy in executing, that is this section. It's got two tools. On the left is a thing we're well known for, this kind of one-page checklist of habits that you use every 90 days to make sure you've got the disciplines in place and still healthy and working. And the tool on the right is one that you can use immediately. We got this one from Dell. They've got these posters in their meeting rooms that say the 6 keys to run an effective meeting. Very last point, make sure you summarize who said they're going to do what when. This is something you can do immediately. I'm going to assume maybe not all of you have a daily meeting. Not all of you got the monthly. I find that's a weakness in a lot of growth companies. I want to fine-tune over the next couple days. But most of you have kind of the weekly. You know, we got the weekly staff meeting or operations meeting. If you'll just take 5 additional minutes, 2 minutes at the end of that meeting, and make sure you summarize who said they're going to do what when. That becomes a then very short-term priority list for the next 7 days. By the way, this is not micromanagement. This is great management. Now, a couple of hints here. Most of us have to-do lists, but who's the implied who? It's me, 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 me. And after you see that several times, you finally realize, I need some yous in my organization. And the rule about the when is this. First of all, you need to state one. I see a lot of folks in just a weekly meeting say, hey, Margaret, can you go get me this information? If you don't say by Thursday at noon, it may be a week or two. And the rule is the when can be no longer than a week. Otherwise, these things pile up. Well, what if we got an initiative that's going to take us 3 months? Figure out what piece of it we're going to get done this week. If you don't do it this week, what week are you going to start or work on it or complete it? And so that becomes critical. If you turn to the green section, this continues our drive around execution, but around metrics. I'm going to be very clear through tomorrow that basically you should run your company with 4 numbers. You've got what are called outcomes, revenue, gross margin, profit, or cash, but those aren't the 4 numbers. You basically need 3 of what we call KPIs, key performance indicators. That's what this first worksheet is focused on. And then this 4th number called the critical number. Now, look, all your numbers are critical, but we're trying to use a very specific definition here of the short-term measurable focus you're going to drive the organization around the next 90 days. And then if you go to the very back of these forms, this is then where we have your cash worksheet, because we do believe that cash is king. So there you go, people, strategy, execution, including the metrics around execution, and cash.